Walk into almost any cornfield in Iowa and look at the tractor parked at the edge of the field. Green body, yellow wheels, a John Deere 8R, the most advanced piece of agricultural machinery ever built. GPS guided. Self-steering. It can plant a seed within 1 inch of its target at 15 miles per hour, but the structure behind that tractor is far simpler than it appears. That machine in the field, the $500,000 machine the farmer paid for in full, is not fully his. He cannot open the engine control unit without triggering a lockout that requires a dealer technician to reset. He cannot access the diagnostic software that tells him why the engine won't start. He cannot replace a simple sensor without a proprietary code that pairs the new part to the tractor's computer. He owns the steel. He licenses the software, and that license says he owns nothing at all. Chapter 1. The Machine That Built America. To understand how that happened, we have to go back to 1837. John Deere was a blacksmith in Grand Detour, Illinois. Farmers coming in from the prairie were furious. Their cast-iron plows, brought from the east, kept clogging with the thick, sticky Midwestern soil. Deere took a broken saw blade, shaped it into a plow, and polished the steel until it was smooth enough for soil to slide off like water. That single innovation, the self-scouring steel plow, changed everything. It opened the American prairie to agriculture. It built the breadbasket of the world, and it established a covenant between John Deere and the American farmer. We build the tools, you build the country. For 150 years, that covenant held. A farmer didn't just operate a John Deere tractor, he maintained it, he repaired it. The owner's manual came with exploded parts diagrams and torque specifications. Every component was accessible, every bolt could be turned. When a bearing failed in the middle of harvest, the farmer didn't wait 3 days for a dealer technician. He drove to the parts store, bought the bearing, swapped it in the field. The machine served the farmer, not the other way around. Chapter 2. The Digital Revolution. Then came the 1990s, and John Deere did something remarkable. It turned the tractor into a computer. Electronic fuel injection replaced mechanical pumps. Engine control units replaced carburetors. By 2010, a John Deere 8R tractor contained more lines of code than a space shuttle. It could steer itself. It could map yield down to the square meter. It could tell you, and in real time, exactly how much each acre was producing. Productivity exploded. The average American farmer went from feeding 25 people in 1960 to feeding 155 people today. John Deere wasn't just building tractors anymore, it was building the most sophisticated agricultural operating system on Earth. And that operating system came with a license agreement, an end-user license agreement, the same legal instrument you click through when you install iTunes, now governed the relationship between a farmer and his $500,000 tractor. Buried in that agreement was a single sentence that changed everything. The farmer does not own the software. The farmer licenses the software. And John Deere retains the right to control who can access it, modify it, or repair it. In 1974, a farmer owned every molecule of his John Deere 4020. By 2014, he owned the steel but rented the brain, and that difference cost billions. Chapter 3. The Repair Monopoly. Here is where the system becomes a machine for extracting value. When a modern John Deere tractor throws an error code, say a sensor failure in the transmission, the farmer cannot diagnose it. The diagnostic port is there, but the software that reads it is locked behind a proprietary interface. Only John Deere dealers have access. Only John Deere technicians can clear fault codes after a repair. And only John Deere can pair a new component to the tractor's computer. In 2018, a farmer in Nebraska replaced a failed transmission sensor himself. The part cost $120. The installation took 20 minutes, but the tractor refused to recognize the new sensor until a dealer technician arrived, plugged in a laptop, and ran a pairing sequence. That visit cost $450 and took 4 days to schedule. During harvest, when every hour of downtime costs thousands, John Deere's dealer network generates approximately $6 billion per year in parts and service revenue. That revenue does not come from building better tractors. It comes from controlling who is legally allowed to fix them. The system was announced. At the same moment John Deere was installing software locks, it was closing independent repair shops. Between 2010 and 2020, John Deere reduced its independent dealer network by more than 40%. Fewer repair options. Higher prices. The farmer had nowhere else to go. He bought the tractor, he paid for the repairs, and he had no leverage to push back. Mid-roll CTA. By now the pattern should be clear. John Deere locks the software. The dealer controls the repair, the farmer pays whatever it costs whenever the machine breaks during the narrowest harvest window of the year. This is not a technical problem, it is a revenue architecture. But what you are about to see, the hackers, the state legislatures, the 2023 deal that promised reform, is where the system reveals how deep the lock really goes. Take a moment right now and subscribe, because this is the part of the story most news coverage skips. Stay with me. Chapter 4. The Hackers. Then something happened that John Deere did not expect. Farmers started fighting back, not with lawsuits, not with lobbyists, with firmware. In Ukraine, a network of software engineers, or many of them former agricultural equipment programmers, began reverse engineering John Deere's diagnostic software. They cracked the proprietary protocols. They built third-party diagnostic tools that could read error codes, clear fault sequences, and pair new components, everything the dealer laptop could do. And they sold them online for a fraction of the cost. American farmers, desperate during harvest, started buying them. They were technically breaking the law. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act makes it illegal to circumvent software protections. But what choice did they have? One farmer told a reporter, "I have a $400,000 machine sitting dead in my field, and the dealer says he can get to me next Tuesday. What am I supposed to do? Let my crop rot?" The Ukrainian firmware was a pressure release valve, but the real fight was moving to state legislatures. In 2019, Nebraska introduced the first agricultural right to repair bill. It would have required John Deere to sell diagnostic software, repair manuals, and parts to anyone, not just authorized dealers. John Deere's response was swift. The company deployed lobbyists to every state considering right-to-repair legislation. Their argument: giving farmers access to software would violate emissions regulations, compromise safety, and enable illegal engine modifications. Farm equipment dealers testified that right-to-repair would destroy their businesses. The bill in Nebraska died in committee, but 4 more states had already filed their own. Chapter 5. The Promise. By January 2023, the pressure had become unsustainable. 22 states had active right-to-repair legislation. The American Farm Bureau Federation, the largest farm lobbying organization in the country, was publicly calling for action. John Deere had a choice: fight a losing war in every state legislature or make a deal. On January 8, 2023, John Deere signed a Memorandum of Understanding with the Farm Bureau. The promise was clear. John Deere would provide farmers and independent repair shops with the same diagnostic tools, software, and repair manuals that authorized dealers use. The headlines were triumphant. John Deere agrees to right to repair. Farmers win. But here's what the headlines missed. The MOU was voluntary. It was not a law. John Deere did not agree to be bound by it, and the tools they released came with a catch. The Customer Service Advisor software, Deere's diagnostic platform, costs farmers a subscription fee. The manuals are available, but they run thousands of pages. The parts pairing function still requires an authorization code that only dealers can provide. In practice, the MOU changed very little. Farmers still cannot access the full diagnostic suite without a dealer intermediary. They still cannot pair critical components without a service visit. They still license software they paid for with a one-time purchase. The promise was made. The delivery was partial. The lock remains. Chapter 6. The Architecture. And that difference cost American farmers control over the single most expensive asset they own. The structural truth here is not that John Deere is uniquely malicious. It is that John Deere discovered what every manufacturer in the digital age is discovering. Software turns a one-time sale into a recurring revenue stream. If you sell a tractor, you make money once. If you license the software that runs the tractor, you make money every time that tractor needs a repair. The software lock is not a bug, it is the business model. In earnings calls, John Deere executives describe their service revenue as a recurring revenue stream, the same language used for Netflix subscriptions, the same accounting treatment used for software as a service. The American farmer, the most independent, self-reliant figure in the national mythology, now pays a monthly subscription to operate a machine he bought with his own money. The tractor in his field is not his. It belongs to John Deere's software division. And until federal legislation codifies repair as a right, not a licensing negotiation, it will stay that way. You have just seen a system where a one-time purchase became a recurring subscription, not through a contract, but through software. The farmer paid $500,000. He still pays every time the tractor breaks. My question to you: at what point does software ownership become a form of rent? And does the market solve that, or does it require legislation? Drop your answer in the comments. I read them. And if you want to see how the same logic infected a completely different industry, where the repair lock isn't software but engineering, and if you want to see how the same logic infected a completely different industry, where the repair lock isn't software but engineering, and the prices are even more divorced from manufacturing cost, watch the replacement part scam next. And the prices are even more divorced from manufacturing cost, watch the replacement part scam next. It is linked on screen right now. If you enjoy uncovering the hidden stories behind everyday industries, like and subscribe for more documentaries like this. We're building a library of investigations into who really controls the systems we depend on, from your power tools to your appliances to the food on your table.